This is a very private story about Meghan's
really
father
private story
in hospital,
playing out publicly.
Exactly. We haven't, we're discussing it here. We haven't actually covered it in our news bulletins because it's actually a very private issue.
Yes.
He's very ill. Meghan's trying to reach out to her father, which she has a very broken relationship with, doesn't have his phone number, and yet all of this stuff is playing out in the public domain.
Well, I mean, we're not going to talk too much about it because it is a very private matter. So the only thing that I will do is give the statement that was given on behalf of the newspaper DMG, and it says, as well as being a journalist, Caroline, who was a journalist in question, has been friends with Mr. Markle since 2018. She has been with Mr. Markle in hospital every day, providing him with care and support. It's entirely untrue that each interaction has been broadcast, and the suggestion that Caroline has breached ethical boundaries is demonstrably false and vehemently denied. So
that's their account, but yeah, a journalist and a friend, and they became friends in 2018. Again, it's for people to make a decision, but
yes.
Those are the facts.
A letter has finally reached Thomas Markle, though, from Meghan. It is, we're told, safely in his hands. And I think, we were told that she has tried to reach out to him since 2018 when that relationship so publicly fell apart around the time of the wedding. But he has now received correspondence from her.
But as we will reiterate over and over again, it is a private family matter.
Moving on.
Perhaps the family should be left to sort it out amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what really went down on ITV Talking Royals, because this was not your usual pile-on, blame Meghan for breathing segment. No, this was something very different. This was British royal media hesitating, pausing, backtracking, and in some moments straight up side-eyeing one of their own. And when that happens, you know the ground is shifting. Chris Shipp opens by framing this exactly how it should have always been framed. He calls it what it is, a very private story about Meghan's father, a man who is seriously ill and in hospital. And immediately you can hear the tension in his voice. This isn't gossip. This isn't royal sparkle content. This is uncomfortable. This is human. And it's messy in a way that doesn't make for easy headlines. Charlene White jumps in almost instantly, pointing out something crucial with just a few words: hanging out publicly. That phrase alone says everything, because that's the part that doesn't sit right. And for once, they actually say it out loud. Chris Shipp then lays out the reality that has been conveniently ignored for years. Meghan has a deeply broken relationship with her father. She doesn't even have his phone number. She has tried to reach out, and yet somehow every development, every whisper, every alleged update is splashed across the public domain like it's entertainment. And here's the key part. Chris Shipp admits they haven't even covered this in their news bulletins. Why? Because it's private. Because Thomas Markle is very ill. Because there are lines you're not supposed to cross. Pause right there. This is the same British media ecosystem that has historically had no problem crossing every line imaginable when it comes to Meghan. And yet here they are, openly admitting that the situation should not be treated as news fodder. That alone tells you something has gone very wrong with the way the story is being handled elsewhere. Charlene White then carefully reads out the statement on behalf of DMG, the publisher defending Caroline Graham, and you can almost hear the legal department hovering over her shoulder as she does it. The statement insists that Caroline Graham has been friends with Thomas Markle since 2018, that she's been with him in hospital every day, providing care and support, that it is entirely untrue that interactions have been broadcast, and that any suggestion she has breached ethical boundaries is vehemently denied. On paper, it's a tidy little defense. Journalist, friend, caregiver, nothing to see here. But listen closely to what happens next. Chris Shipp doesn't endorse it. He doesn't praise it. He doesn't shut down the criticism. He simply says, so that's their account. That is journalist code for make of that what you will. And then he does something even more interesting. He repeats the central contradiction out loud. A journalist and a friend. Friends since 2018. Again, he says it's for people to make a decision, but those are the facts. Except, are they? Because this is where the story starts wobbling under its own weight. If you've been friends since 2018, Why does your relationship only seem to activate when Meghan is in the headlines? Why does it require constant public presence? Why does it involve media proximity at a moment of extreme vulnerability? These are questions the British press usually refuses to ask, but here, Chris Shipp doesn't shut them down either. Lizzie Robinson then adds another crucial detail that has been oddly underplayed elsewhere. A letter has finally reached Thomas Markle, safely in his hands. Meghan has tried to reach out since 2018, and now, at last, correspondence has been delivered. Notice what's missing from this discussion. There is no accusation of cruelty, no claim that Meghan is cold, no suggestion that she's indifferent, no implication that she's abandoning her father. Instead, we hear acknowledgement, effort, complexity, pain. That alone is revolutionary in royal commentary terms. Charlene White then reiterates again that this is a private family matter, and Chris Shipp agrees. And then comes the line that really seals it. Perhaps the family should be left to sort it out amongst themselves. And with that, they move on. Now, let's talk about why this moment matters. Because what you just witnessed was a quiet but unmistakable turning of the tide. This wasn't ITV defending Caroline Graham with enthusiasm. This wasn't a full-throated media rally around Thomas Markle's public exposure. This was hesitation. This was discomfort. This was senior royal reporters subtly distancing themselves from behavior that no longer looks defensible. Chris Shipp openly questioning the nature of the relationship between Thomas Markle and Caroline Graham is not nothing. That's a crack in the wall. And Charlene White's refusal to editorialize in Caroline's favor speaks volumes. They did not back her behavior. They did not normalize it. They did not attack Meghan. Instead, they centered privacy, illness, humanity. And let's be honest, that is not how the story has been treated in the past. For years, Meghan has been blamed for a relationship breakdown she did not create and could not fix alone. Her attempts at privacy were reframed as secrecy. Her boundaries were labeled cruelty. Her silence was weaponized against her. But now even the British media is starting to say, quietly, carefully, this doesn't feel right. And when journalists start saying that about one of their own, it's a sign that the public mood has already shifted. Caroline Graham's full-time presence with Thomas Markle under the banner of friendship and journalism raises ethical questions whether DMG likes it or not. And those questions are no longer coming solely from Meghan supporters. They're coming from inside the royal media bubble itself. This wasn't a dramatic takedown. It didn't need to be. It was something far more effective. It was doubt. It was restraint. It was a refusal to play along. And that's how narratives really change. Not with shouting, but with silence where applause used to be. Thank you for watching. I'm Smiley, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.